Taliban's military forces make dramatic progress on the ground, their politicians are attempting to sound conciliatory.
There must be no attacks on provincial capitals, districts should not collapse, and there should be no military activity in populated areas. A space of trust should be built among Afghans, and 90 days must be allocated for negotiations.
But on Friday, Taliban gunmen took control of another key border crossing with Iran. It's a vital trade link worth $20 million a month to the Kabul government. Combine that with the continued encirclement of several regional capitals and the failure of some Afghan forces to fight, it's clear the Taliban's negotiating position is getting stronger by the day. They insist, however, that whatever happens, unlike before, terrorist groups like Daesh and Al-Qaeda will never find safe haven on their territory.
We have commitment that we will not allow anyone, any individual, any entity to use the soil of Afghanistan against the neighboring country, the regional country, and the world country, including the United States and its allies.
US President Joe Biden says it's now up to the 300,000 Afghan security forces trained and equipped by NATO to fight for their country's future. Not all are willing to do so. Afghanistan's neighbours are worried about the prospect of growing instability and a surge of refugees fleeing the violence. Also in Moscow on Friday, Russian and Indian foreign ministers.
While the fighting is happening in the territory of Afghanistan, we're not going to take any measures apart from the repetition of our persistent calls that the political process all Afghans support should start as soon as possible.
The point right now we stress is that we must see a reduction in violence. Violence cannot be the solution for the situation in Afghanistan.
Peace talks.
The Taliban said on Friday it had seized control of 85% of Afghanistan, with fighters tightening their grip on strategic areas, intensifying international concerns over problems getting medicines and supplies into the country. Government officials dismissed the assertion by the Sunni Muslim insurgent group as being part of a propaganda campaign it has launched, as foreign forces, including the United States, withdraw. Local Afghan officials said Taliban fighters, emboldened by the troop withdrawal, had captured an important district in Herat province, home to tens of thousands of minority Shiite Hazaras. Torgundi, a northern town on the border with Turkmenistan, was also captured by the Taliban overnight, Afghan and Taliban officials said. Russia's foreign ministry said the militant group controlled at least two-thirds of Afghan territory. A Taliban delegation is in Moscow, seeking to address its fears that radical Islamists could infiltrate Central Asia, as hundreds of Afghan security personnel and refugees flee across the border into Iran and Tajikistan. 3 Taliban officials sought to reassure Russia at a news conference, saying the group wanted to prevent Islamic State from being active in Afghanistan and would not allow Afghan territory to be used to attack its neighbours. As fighting continued, the World Health Organization said at least 18.4 million people require humanitarian assistance, including 3.1 million children at risk of acute malnutrition. This was Regional Emergencies Director Rick Brennan.
I think the concerns are, as was mentioned, the departure of healthcare workers, fearing for the security of their families and themselves. As I said, we're already beginning to see the return of some of them. We're concerned about our lack of access to be able to provide essential medicines and supplies, and we're concerned about attacks on healthcare.
Brennan said the Taliban had asked informally for support, keeping health services going in the areas it had seized.